Hi, everybody. We're back with a new episode. This is Stacy and I'm Dominique. And today we're going to be talking about the recent tragic shootings in the United States. For those of you who are following us and not in the US, obviously it's a big thing that's happened. There's been multiple school shootings through the decades, and in recent weeks there were multiple shootings, including one very tragic in Texas with the death of 19 children, 3 adults, and in Buffalo, where 10 Black people were the target of a white supremacist. And both of the shooters were carrying assault rifles, if I
Yep.
get it right. And they were both only 18 years old, or at least very young. I know one had just turned 18. So we're going to kind of like give our own personal take on this. And it's obviously very tragic, and our hearts go out to the parents, the communities, the loved ones that have lost someone. And just in general, it's a tragic event. But obviously there are so many things that are behind this, and how can we prevent, and where do we go forward, and what is the cause. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. So
Yeah. So my thing is like, what's up with these guns? Like, how do they get them? Why at 18 do you have them? That definitely needs to be changed. The gun laws definitely need to be changed. Like, there's no reason. Or are you gonna have like officers at all of these schools, guarding all the doors? I mean, it's just so sad. Kids can't even enjoy school like what I remember school to be. And if I had a kid in school right now, I would be absolutely crazy every day, thinking of my child going to school, and I might be picking up my child's actual body, dead body, because something like this has happened. And from my understanding, this kid didn't even go to this school, and that he wrote on Facebook that that's what he was going to do before he did it. He shot his grandmother, I think,
yeah,
before he actually went to the school. And then I think there were 3 teachers that also got shot and died.
yeah,
And it's like, how do we fix this?
yeah.
Like, is it beyond fixable? Like, do the cops actually have enough people to maintain these doors at school, at all of these schools? Like, do
It's
they chain these doors up? Then if something happens in the school, how do they get out? Because I heard he came in through a door that wasn't supposed to be open. It was a door that wasn't supposed to open from the outside.
right.
So it's like, how do we fix it? I don't know. It's just beyond me to figure out.
Yeah.
Like,
I think that the ball has been dropped in so many different ways in that, like from what I understood, the police were outside for a long time
didn't
and
go in.
they didn't go in because they were afraid to be shot. So then my question is, well, what purpose do the police actually serve? That's a question for me. It's like, well, why do we have such huge police forces that are so armed, and these people are the professionals and they're afraid to go in? And then I mean, that's something that's also beyond me. So that's a whole different conversation. And then, as you're saying, there was a door that was at a school that shouldn't have opened, that let a stranger into the school. That's super problematic. And it's like, what's the safety of the school? And then, yeah, if the police are going to be standing at every school guarded, then they have to, like, yeah, exactly. Are there enough police for that? I don't know. But that's the question with the guns. Are like, these 18-year-olds are allowed to get, these were legally acquired guns that they used. So they weren't like illegal black market stuff. It's like, you can't buy a beer in the States if you're 18, but you can go get a gun. And like you can get a bunch of them actually. And it's fairly easy. It's like you just go in there and just you can, and it's and also yeah, warnings when, and it's like I think that both in the Buffalo incident and in the school shooting in Texas, that both of the gunmen had said something that they were both planning on doing these.
Planning to do this. I
And
think so.
people just are not, I mean, if someone says to me, I'm gonna go shoot up a school, that's a problem. Like, I'm not gonna just think, oh, that's a joke. Either way, that's not funny. So,
I mean, that
obviously we're
needs to
dealing
be
with
addressed.
someone that this is not a good situation. And, yeah, and I mean, obviously we touch also on the mental health, like I think that there's a lot of people like, what is their mental health state? And I'm like, yeah, but we have more problems because there's a lot of people that have mental health issues who do not buy guns and shoot up schools. It's like, yeah, is that the reason? Because I honestly know that just can't be it, because there's mental health, people with mental health issues everywhere. And it seems to be a very specific group of people, young men doing this. And that says to me, like, yeah, it's not an excuse. I'm sorry. It's just the gun, to me, I think it starts with like gun control laws, obviously. As I said, you can't buy a beer in the States, but you can buy a gun. Doesn't make any sense.
So do we need to get people to come and raid these houses, different houses? I mean, it's, like I said, is there enough police officers? They wouldn't even go into school.
No.
So how
Yeah.
how do we get this under control? We have to send the military in. I mean, I just don't even know where to begin. I think it's so out of control that there is not a way to even begin.
Well, yeah, it's so deep rooted, and it's so in the freedom culture of the United States that's spreading all over the world, that is like this delusion of freedom is to have a gun and be able to defend yourself. And I'm like, but honestly, how many people, I know tons of people in the States that have guns. I don't know any of them who's actually had to defend themselves in their home against an intruder with a gun. So that is a BS. That's just, let's be real. And it's okay if I'm not saying people shouldn't be able to have guns, but I do think that there needs to be a much stricter protocol, and we need to stop glorifying owning a gun as like the ultimate freedom in the United States, because it's such nonsense. And
it is.
And then that's what I'm saying. And then we're talking about like multiple issues in the United States, which is also like the police not feeling safe. Like, that's your job. Your job, isn't it to serve and protect? That's like their
Aren't you supposed to get trained for that? Like, isn't that, it's just like me having an emergency on the aircraft, but then I'm scared to open the door during an emergency.
Yeah.
That's what I go to training for. That is my duty, my job, to try to get myself out first.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about me too. So I got to get this door open no matter what. This is what I've been trained to do.
Yeah.
So you mean to tell me you go through this police officer training.
Yeah.
You know how to do this. You know how to shoot. You're supposed to be able to go in, a lot of you guys, and fix this. But you're standing outside the school and you're hearing gunshots and you decide not to go in. I don't know. I don't understand. And then, parents also need to be more proactive when it comes to troubled kids. If you know you have a troubled child, stop throwing it and sweeping it under the rug.
I agree.
Stop trying to ignore it. Stop trying to say, oh, this isn't happening. Oh, that's not going on. And this is not going on. I mean, but then again, like, even with that being said, what do you do with that kid? Because you can't put them anywhere. They don't have, because I heard that if you try to like put them away, you have to pay for wherever they go. Like
Yeah.
they just can't, there's nowhere to put a troubled teen. So how do we begin to even start?
Yeah, it's like, so it's a structural, like it's so deep. It's basically because the whole principles of where the United States is founded on is crap and does not work. Let's be honest. It starts with so many, like, how do people get to this point that it's like this? It is the gun laws need to change. The police obviously need to be held accountable, because if their duty is to serve and protect, like obviously I have problems with the police, and I'm not saying that I have problems with every police officer is corrupt, but I think the police, as the United States knows it, police
It's
force
corrupt.
is just, they're the whole thing was to serve and protect. But if we look at the history of what they just replaced
They've been, a lot of them have been
to
bullied.
control. They're just there
Yeah.
to, yeah, and it's not, and it's to mostly patrol and control marginalized communities. And it really doesn't actually, they don't, putting more police actually doesn't help. That's been proven more and more times again, that putting more police in neighborhoods doesn't help. Obviously, the police was called to a school, and some of them got their own children out of the school, but
They went
didn't want to
in.
go in because they didn't want to get shot. And I'm like, yeah, but your duty, civil duty that you swore was that serve and protect the community, not
Which means
let me
giving
take
your
care of
own
me
life.
and then see what I can do. And it's just,
That's right.
it's like this, in that case, that is a, that this is just two things that I think in the United States definitely needs to be, is like, well, definitely three. Mental health, there is no place, there's no, people don't have money. It's so expensive in general healthcare, but mental health care is beyond absurdly expensive in the United States. And it's just, there's nothing. And I know it's like everywhere, like in the Netherlands, there are wait lists as well, but we don't have people running around shooting up schools. I mean, there's obviously violence and there is crime, but there is because of the way that things are set up, there's a different state of mind. And in the United States, I just feel like that's a big problem. That needs to be accessible, it needs to be affordable, and in a lot of cases it needs to be free.
It's not, because, and you're right, because like if I call right now EAP,
Yeah.
I only get a handful of sessions that's free.
Yeah.
But just because I do 3 sessions, that mean I'm okay? Like, and then I even when I'm paying my copay,
Yeah.
I still only get however many, and
Yeah.
then they're graduating me. But what if I need this for the rest of my life? What if I can never graduate out of this,
Yeah.
this program?
I
You
think
know,
honestly that, I mean, like as a person who's been in therapy for years for different things, I mean, I think that it should just be just be available. It's a right. Healthcare and mental health care shouldn't be a privilege. It should be a right. And in the United States, they've made it into a business. And that's the same thing with guns. It's a business. And even the police is basically just now is a business, because obviously they're not there to do anything. They're basically saying that, like, well, not my problem. So they're just, that's the thing. I feel like everything has become in the United States a business, and
all about this.
And it's like people are dying and no one, and they're like, they're like, well, what are we going to do about it? Like, yeah, we need to stop falling into the trap, and people stop defending it. Just own it. It's not right what's happening. I feel, and people are like, yeah, this is like, you're a liberal. Like, no, this has nothing to do with what side of the spectrum I'm on politically, even though I am more liberal. That has nothing to do with it. What I'm talking about is human rights here. Like, I don't think that I think a kid who's 17, who's running around screaming, I'm going to kill a bunch of Black people in a supermarket, should literally be able to get healthcare, mental health care for free, even if he is a white supremacist. That's because that's the world we live in, and that needs to stop, and we need to break down those structures as well. But that doesn't mean he doesn't need help, and he should get it, even if I don't agree with anything he's saying. And the
Right.
police, everybody who was involved in that incident, who was there and didn't do anything, they need to be fired. They just know on investigation. You didn't do
why
your
do you
job.
have
Get out. You're
why
fired.
do you have that kind of job? Exactly. Why do you have that kind of job? And
Yeah.
then it's like, if people want to go to school, I, for one, would not want to be a psychiatrist.
Oh,
I think that's a very hard job.
yeah.
And to carry someone else's stuff with me when I leave, or to know how to leave it at work and not think about some of this, because I can imagine some of the things that they hear, things that have happened to people, during their childhood or even in their adult life,
Yeah.
that these therapists have to deal with. But you make it so expensive
Yeah.
for these people to go to school. Then after they get out of school, they have all these student loans and all these things that they have to try to pay for. So who wants to go into these fields? Like,
True.
that really has to be a passion. So they probably don't even have enough people
They
to
don't.
handle the weight
Yeah. Well,
that
it's the
comes in
same.
from this shit.
It's the same here. Like, I mean, like literally at all the mental health institutions, they're looking for so many psychologists and psychiatrists. And I understand it's because it's become this capitalist society. Everyone needs to be a manager, and you need to get the job that pays the most. And the jobs that those are jobs that get paid the most are not that important, let's be real, to society. And the jobs that are of importance to society and the structures like childcare or paid like time off for parents and all of these things. So people are not there. There's no support. And the jobs that are needed, like psychiatrists and psychologists, are these people don't, they're either are, they do a private clinic and they have being paid to go in the field and work with these people like through the government. They're not getting paid enough.
They're
And
not.
exactly with student loans, which learning has become a business, it's so expensive. Some people are literally forced to take jobs they don't want to do. It's
For
like,
the
I
money.
have to get a job when I get out of here that pays these $100,000 student loans I had to learn something. So it's just like structurally damaged. The United States is like, it's because they've set up everything to be a business. Like nothing is sacred, nothing is important. There is nothing that is for the community, to build the community and support the community. And most of the people in the States have been brainwashed. Like a lot of people have been brainwashed to believe, yeah, well, if you want these things for free, then that's because you just want a handout. And I'm like, no, why are we paying taxes? Like I pay taxes for those police officers that did not go in there and do their job.
Exactly.
That's a problem. So I'd
Exactly.
rather give money to people that want to actually go and help the community instead of that. But we can arm the whole force like an army, like the police force is an army, but they're afraid of one gunman and they let 19 children and 3 adults be shot. Like it's just heartbreaking. There are people, they had to do DNA tests on children to identify their bodies because they had been shot and they couldn't identify them. So how traumatizing.
Wow.
And then it's like, that went on for an hour. And I'm like, okay, so we're funding that and it's like, because they're the serve and protect. Well, they're not serving and protecting, and that needs to change. And if that's the first part that we need to change, then we need to do that. But gun control laws, it's like, the guns are a big business, and that's why they will continually be funded. And the thoughts and prayers are not helping anymore. We need action. And
we need action because
Yeah.
it's happening too much. And I mean,
Yeah.
people can't afford to leave their kids at home by themselves during homeschool. That's not a thing. And that didn't go over so well because, a lot of these kids were still in the bed. They weren't even on their computers and stuff. So that didn't really go over so well in a lot of homes during COVID.
No.
So like, I don't know. It's just really sad. And it breaks my heart about what happened.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter, like you said, about what political side that you're on. That's someone's child, that those teachers were somebody's daughter, someone's mother, someone's, the one that died. And I am just like you said, the guy that went around in the grocery store and he just wanted to kill Black people, just anybody he saw. And that can happen anywhere, anytime, because you also have a lot of people that want, oh, they did it, so let's see if I can do it.
Yeah.
And it's just going to continue to keep happening over and over and over again. And I think if you go to school to be a doctor, if you go to school to be a psychiatrist and all that, you shouldn't have to pay for whatever it took for you to go to school. As a matter of fact, if you go in those fields
Yeah.
and you're a scholar in it and that's what you want to be, I actually think you should be able to go for free.
I agree.
You know, I'm
agree.
not a sports person. I don't think football players should be getting millions of dollars like that.
I agree.
But I'm sorry. I just think that's too much. We need to take that money and we need to put it in the right places for people that deserve to get that type of pay. Sports is something that you want to do. It's not something that we need to have. We don't have to have that.
Yeah.
That's not benefiting anybody. It's just giving them, you know, that's gaming. You know, that doesn't mean anything. We don't have to have that. But we need school teachers and we need police officers and we need firefighters and, you know, we need psychiatrists and we need therapists and we need these things.
Yeah.
And it's so many people that need the therapy work
Yeah.
that cannot afford to go and get it or don't have the medical insurance to get it. And even though I have the medical insurance to give it, I can only get so many sessions.
True.
Before I'm kicked out the program and I got to figure out another way or figure out something else.
True.
You know, you can't trust your local clergy anymore. They're sleeping around with, you know, the members, and they're causing a lot of problems in the community. I mean, it's just all screwed up. And it's like, you know, there needs to be a program with people set up to restructure, to come up with ideas to fix the problems that need to be fixed. And that's just the bottom line. If the military have to go and raid everybody's house and knock on the door and say there should be one gun per household, you know, or I don't know, you know, but it definitely shouldn't be where an 18-year-old has all these guns and the ability to go and just knock people out, you know, because you're whatever you got going on. And I'm sure that kid was probably messed up for a long time, but the family, they ignore, you know, their children when they're like that. You know, they don't do anything. And then, like you said, like we just said, what can they do though? Like if you got a troubled son that's 16, where can you send him?
Yeah. That's absolutely true. I personally think it starts with your local legislators. So in the United States, we have a lot of elections come up. Please look at the candidates, what they support. Please make sure that you go vote. It's essential to change legislation because obviously what's happening in the United States is so far and so deep and will not be fixed in one day, but we can start with something. So everybody, please go vote.
Please go vote.
Yeah. But we're going to close off this episode. If you want to hear more or talk more about this, please let us know. Follow us on Instagram, like and subscribe. And we'll see you guys on the next one. Let us know what you thought.
Bye-bye.